Guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to be talking about macros again, specifically ratios, how they apply or do they apply. So two schools of thought at the moment. One is the high fat approach, and there's one which is more high protein approach. So to define those, high fat might be say 75, 80% fat by energy value or more. High protein might be something like 40% protein or thereabout. This is also by energy value. So I'm not the biggest fan of either, at least in the context of what people are promoting online. This idea that, you need 80% of energy from fat to be consumed or 40% of energy from protein. I think people are looking at this for the wrong scope. So I'm not saying there aren't benefits to each whatsoever. So before people comment this video, say, I'm doing this or I'm doing that and it's working great. Yeah, this video is nuanced and it is specific to my viewers that keep asking me. So this is what it's based on. There are clear and very obvious drawbacks to each. So obviously the high fat approach can limit protein and the high protein approach can limit fat, so you're missing something. What I want people to do here is understand that each variation can trigger certain issues. So too little protein might mean that you lose lean body mass. I have seen this a few times before, especially in the last few months or so, when people have actually tried it and have said, I've got weaker, I've lost muscle. I won't say the group, but there is a group about on the internet, and they have been saying, I've been losing muscle, been getting weaker. And it's not just a few people, it is a lot of people at this point. I'm not saying this to be sensationalistic or trigger people, but it is quite clear people are losing muscle and body composition is not improving. So obviously the issue of too low fat is there's very little energy substrate. Fat is quite easily used by body, and it's broken down easily, and you can assimilate it and use it to perform your daily tasks. So my main issue with going to either extreme is that they're using the wrong measurement to identify which of each ratio is better. In fact, the ratio is actually the problem. So I spoke with Bart Kay recently, and I want to reiterate what he and I believe. This is that these are independent levers. So you've got too high protein and too high fat. That's a situation where your gut is going to be distressed, you're eating beyond your capacity, and long term it won't work out too well. If you lower protein too much, again, you'll lose too much muscle. And people are doing this diet and they're sort of lowering protein more and more and more to try and reduce their blood glucose. Whilst they're doing that, they're increasing their fat more and more and more. So they're becoming less muscular and consuming more fat. That's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. I understand why people are trying to do this. They're trying to get these magical ketone numbers, which really aren't everything. They're just one measurement that people should use to sort of identify if they are or aren't in a therapeutic state of ketosis. It isn't the be all and end all. It's a measure, but it's not the most useful measure. I might suggest, if you can, get it tested fasting insulin, or even just a fasted blood glucose level. So what I'd want you guys to do is every week or so, maybe on a Monday, in the morning, first thing, measure blood glucose. Say it's 6, 5, I don't know. Whatever it is, then take that measurement next week. 5.6. So it's going down. Your body's becoming healthier in a sense. So your body's not circulating more and more glucose, and it's not activating as much Brandle cycle. So that's one benefit to using the blood glucose measure. There's other benefits as well. I won't go into them in this video, but it's just to keep this video brief, really. So ignore the magical percentages that people promote online. They aren't everything. They are, however, guides, which I can appreciate, but they're not going to be the way that you're going to get your perfect physique health outcomes. So what we know through different studies, I'm not going to highlight them all, this is a short video, hopefully, is that we need X amount of protein to retain or build lean muscle tissue. We also need X amount of fat to provide energy substrate. so you can perform the gym, exercise, get around your daily tasks. You also need enough of this to retain muscle mass. So if you're eating a diet purely of chicken breasts, your gym performance will suffer and you won't have enough energy to actually train to maintain the muscle that you're building. So although your protein is at this level, if you can't train to retain your muscle growth and gains at this level, it's not going to work out too well. You're not going to sustain the muscle that you've built up and spent all that time building. So there is a balance here, and that individual balance is based on your individual needs. So for me to say to someone, you need to be doing 85% fat or 60% protein or this, that, the other, it's very responsible and it's not something I would do. What I would say, however, is, if someone's losing muscle mass, I might say, all right, look at your fat and protein ratios. Is one particularly high, one particularly low? Perhaps raise the one that needs to be raised or lower the one that, work out what you need to do for yourself. And this is why I consult with people and provide people help online and give them information that they need to really dial in what they need, to make the best gains. So the great thing as well about being properly fat adapted is that short term, you can push and pull each lever to some degree with very little negative biofeedback. So, for example, if we were, go back in time, a few thousand years ago, we wouldn't always have access to fatty meat. It might be that we had a carcass and there was just organs there. So, organs tend to be quite lean. So we'd have a period of time where we'd have more organs, just leaner sort of proteins, generally speaking. We wouldn't have much fat. But then transversely on the other side of the dial, we'd have days where we'd have more fat. This is where metabolic flexibility is such a thing, so that we can alter our macronutrient balance in a way and subsist on certain levels for certain periods of time. That's dependent on our genetics and where our set point is originally. So, I'm not going to say to anyone, trial out just a fat diet or just a protein diet. It's not sensible. You do need both of each, and to which degree of each you need, that is individual to you. So what I'll say, just to summarize this video, is that the vast majority of people fall into the 1-to-1 protein to fat in grams ratio. So I understand people want to fine-tune their results, but look at it for a broader sense, like I explained in a short presentation. So protein grams, they need to be here, 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 here. Fat grams, here, 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 or here. It's not these independent things. Raise one or lower one, think of it that way. I hope that clears things up, and head over to my video titled The Carnivore Diet Macros for a more in-depth discussion on this topic. Thanks for watching.